Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first edition of Reviewing 101, a new MFM's guide to the peer review process. So we're going to start by introducing ourselves, and then we'll talk a little bit about the goals for this series. My name is Kate Newhoff, and I am a second-year maternal fetal medicine fellow at the University of Texas in San Antonio.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jen Kidd. I'm currently a second-year MFM fellow at new NYU Langone Hospital in Long Island. I'm excited to be sharing what we've learned about the review process, and it's been so much fun to work with Kate and Matt on this project.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Matt Jansen. I'm a second-year maternal fetal medicine fellow at the University of Pennsylvania, and I'm also just so excited to, be getting this first episode off in this series and to have spent this time brainstorming and collaborating with Kate and Jen.
Thanks, y'all. Okay, so you might be wondering why we decided to start this series. So we are the AJOG Maternal Fetal Medicine Editorial Fellows for 2021 to 2022. So that means that we applied and then we were accepted to an editorial fellowship through AJOG-MFM Journal, which is also known as the Pink Journal. So during this fellowship, we've been learning the ins and outs of the review process.
Yeah, and we've been learning a lot, and so we thought that this would be a great opportunity to pass along some of what we've learned to other MFM fellows, junior faculty, and anyone else who might be wondering how to become a reviewer or how the process works. Although we're all MFM fellows with experience in OB-specific journals, really a lot of this information should be general enough to apply to OBGYN more broadly or even other specialties too.
We've split the themes of these initial episodes into a few different areas. Today, we'll specifically be talking about the first topic, how to be involved. What I mean by this is how to become a reviewer and why should you care about being a reviewer in the first place. We will discuss a brief overview of this topic today, but we're definitely going to delve more into it in the future episodes.
Yeah, and our next topic will focus actually on the review process itself, and so stay tuned for that. But a quick preview for what we'll talk about in the future episode is that we'll discuss what actually happens when an article is submitted for consideration. In that episode, we'll focus on what constitutes a good review, how to craft a good review for yourself, as well as what to do once you receive reviewer feedback as an author too.
And then after that, we also plan on having some interview episodes with more experienced MFMs so that they can weigh in on their experience serving as reviewers and give us any tips and tricks of how to become an excellent reviewer. So we would not expect you guys to just take our word for all of this. We're also going to plan to interview some MFMs who are editors as well, and we'll ask them to talk about what they look for in a review, how they utilize reviews for decisions on manuscripts, and then any other insights they may have through their experiences as an editor.
But I think for this first introductory episode, why don't we just tackle the question of why get involved with academic reviewing? And I think the best way to start is actually to ask my co-hosts why they chose to start reviewing and any reasons that also led you to apply for the specific editorial fellowship. And so, Jen, why don't we start with you? Why did you choose to get involved in reviewing for AJOG-MFM?
Thanks, Matt. That's a great question to start with. I'll admit I'm a little bit of a nerd, and I really enjoy presenting our monthly journal club as a fellow. We do some critique during our journal club where we basically discuss why an article may or may not have been accepted or rejected and what kind of leads to that process. I really enjoyed this and I wanted to learn more. I wanted to be involved in reviewing because I think this is a part of the scientific process. We've all read peer-reviewed journals, but they're all backed by reviewers and editors. I wanted to be part of this next part of the scientific process, from manuscript to publication. The process of reviewing as an editorial fellow has also really helped me to be more reflective of my own writing and improve my own writing. It's also made me realize more clear and creative ways to convey my ideas and manuscripts. And I think that's been very helpful, not only for reviewing and research, but also for consults and everything else that I do for writing.
Yeah, thanks so much. And I totally and completely share a lot of those sentiments myself, especially when you about how the process has helped me to think about my own research, with a new lens, as well as, helping and writing manuscripts. But what about you, Kate?
So I actually became involved in reviewing more through my interest in writing and editing. So I actually wrote for a newspaper in college, and then I had a job in proofreading and editing before I went to medical school. So reviewing scientific journals is kind of a fun way, and I did say fun, way for me to mix my interest in writing and editing with my interest in the field of MFM and then with the scientific review process. So it's just a really kind of great way to combine lots of things that I enjoy. And I couldn't agree with you more, Jen, in that reviewing others people's work really helps me think about the experimental design in a more critical way. And this is helpful in not only my own work, but also as I start to mentor medical students and residents in how they create and think about their own projects. So I actually knew I had this interest going into fellowship. So even before I started fellowship, I talked to my program director, who I knew was a reviewer for several journals, and he was able to get me set up as a junior reviewer at an OB/GYN journal, which has been super helpful.
Yeah, I totally, agree and think that reaching out to mentors within your program, through my experience is the best way to really get involved in this process, especially since, many journals only request reviewers either by invitation or by reference. But another thing that can actually help you get noticed by journals is by publishing a paper in that journal itself.
Yeah, this is honestly the most daunting part. As a fellow, it seems like such a mountain to just get your manuscript published, especially in some of the major journals. They have such high standards. You have to go through so many reviewers and the editors to get published. However, the process of reviewing seems even more challenging since we're novice researchers and we have very little training as far as how to do reviewing or what the reviewing process is like.
Absolutely, Jen. And that's really the crux of why we have started this podcast series. I know, I can speak for myself, and I think my other two co-fellows that, I really haven't received a lot of formal education on how to be a reviewer. And I know, sometimes I feel like I'm also a novice researcher. So what do I really have to contribute as far as reviewing is concerned? But, I was really surprised to learn that there's this huge volume of submissions to journals every year, and even some of the newer journals. So AJOG-MFM, for example, is a relatively new journal, and it's already receiving 40 to 50 submissions per month. And each paper has typically around 3 reviewers. So with all of these submissions, even to the newer journals, there's a huge need for more reviewers. And a lot of these journals are very open to having junior reviewers and helping mentor, this new wave of reviewers that will be doing it for years to come. So we hope this is motivating to our listeners to become reviewers and to listen to our podcast, where we're going to talk about this more.
Yeah, I know I'm, feeling motivated to keep reviewing. And once you do become a reviewer, many of the journals, will ask you to select a few keywords that, describe the sort of fields that you actually may be interested or have special expertise in reviewing. And I didn't realize this at the beginning when I first started reviewing, but that those keywords are really important to help the editors find reviewers that know the literature on certain topics and can assess, the merit of new submissions really well. It also helps to ensure that you get submissions that you're excited about and that you want to review. For instance, you can choose, certain keywords as fetal ultrasound, preeclampsia, or postpartum care, along with, a number of other examples.
Absolutely, Matt. Okay, so we're going to start kind of wrapping this episode up. So as we mentioned earlier, we're all editorial fellows with AJOG-MFM, and this opportunity is for rising second-year MFM fellows. And it's really been great. So it's allowed us to access the brilliant editors of the journal in a one-on-one mentor-mentee structure, and we're learning how to analyze papers and produce good reviews. And there's also been opportunity for research projects on the editorial and reviewing process as well. So if you're interested in applying for this, the best way to do it is to look out for an email soon from SMFM for additional details on how to apply.
I completely agree. I think we've all enjoyed this experience as AJOG-MFM Editorial Fellows. And I think beyond just what we've learned, we've also got to connect with our classmates across the country who, with COVID, it's been so hard to do that. We thank you so much to everyone who's been listening to our first episode. In review, today we went over and discussed our reviewing experiences, why it's important to review, and how to be involved in the AJOG-MFM Editorial Fellowship if you think that's something that is for you. It's helped us gain a lot of experience as reviewers, and we think that it's a great opportunity for uprising second years. In the next episode, we plan to talk about how to review a paper. We will focus on a systematic way to approach each paper, and we will discuss how this provides the most useful feedback for both the author and the editors.
Yeah, and thank you all so much for, listening in and watching. And we really can't wait for these next episodes to get into, the nitty-gritty of reviewing, as Jen said. Until that time, please let us know if you have any comments or other future topics for episodes that you'd like to discuss. And once again, really thank you for listening in and joining us. Bye.
Bye.